This is Lisa from Mobile Tech Review, and it's time for another episode of Does It Suck? I know, it's a bad joke, but you guys and gals were going to make that joke in the comments anyway, weren't you? This is the Ecovacs Deebot 711, and it is their mid to upper mid-range robotic vacuum cleaner, as you might guess. It sits below the Deebot 901 we reviewed, but actually in some ways it's a little bit superior, which is kind of cool. And obviously it's a lot more advanced than the Deebot N79S that we also reviewed, which is the top seller on Amazon. We're going to look at it now. So as you could no doubt tell already, this is a Roomba style cleaner, which means a round cleaner with spinning side brushes. Actually, they give you two side brushes. It says one on each side in the front versus one on a Roomba, and a central, not very long intake, the agitation brush for cleaning. The other kind of method of doing this is the D-shaped cleaner, like the Nito Bot Vac that we'll be reviewing, and the Samsung PowerBot series that we've reviewed. As you'd expect from a modern mid to upper mid-range robot, it is Wi-Fi controlled. It does come with an itsy little remote that has the basic controls on in case you're giving this to somebody who really isn't into smartphones or whatever. It has fairly low clearance at 3.2 inches, so it fits under many couches, under beds pretty easily, and even under some exercise treadmill platforms, which is pretty cool. It works with both Google Assistant and Amazon Alexa, and besides the single button that's on the top for basically starting a clean process and the very simple remote, most everything you're going to do is going to be from either the Android or the iOS application. There you can do things like set suction levels, control what language it speaks to you in, because yes, it's a speaking robot, and other stuff like that, which we'll cover. So the 711 currently sells for around $445 on Amazon. What are its pluses and its selling points versus competing Roomba? For example, the Roomba 960, which is another smart navigational and mapping robot. You get the idea. So this one has a lithium-ion battery. This is an improvement among Deebots. The Deebot 901 that we reviewed, which is the higher-end model, has a nickel metal hydride battery, and those don't tend to live as long in terms of number of years, and they have memory effects, so this is definitely an improvement. This one cleans for around 90 minutes on its normal mode. That's a pretty good cleaning time, an hour and a half. And if you set it on max mode, it does about an hour. And max mode is my favorite. I'll talk about that. Particularly, well, max mode is one of my favorites because this is a quieter than average robot. Roombas are pretty good, but they are, number one, they are loud, and they have a kind of grating and annoying sound to them. At least I feel this way. All of the models except for the very expensive i7 and i7 Plus, and those are, you know, the $799 to $1,000 price range. So while Roombas kind of screech along and make a lot of noise, this is surprisingly quiet. So that when I put it on max mode, it's still a bit quieter than your average Roomba 800 or 900 series, and it's a pretty effective cleaner.
I am starting the clean.
It has a good size, about the same size as Roomba dustbin, and it's a clear bin, which is kind of nice because, you know, when your robot's zipping around, you don't know when that bin is going to be full, and, well, you can kind of see, aha, as long as you keep the dustbin really clean, because sooner or later it's going to become an opaque gray covered with dust particles and all that sort of thing, so it helps. This uses camera-based navigation, which is what, again, Roomba 960 and up use, and also Samsung PowerBots. It's a pretty common navigation system. The other one is LiDAR. It's laser-based navigation. The benefit with laser-based navigation is it can work in the dark. It's bouncing little laser lights off of the walls and off of the furniture, and so it can see in the dark. And also it's better at not smacking into furniture because it can approach slowly. It senses the furniture. The cameras are good. They actually, what they're looking at, the cameras, are the ceilings, so they can figure out the floor plan of the room. So privacy-wise, low-resolution camera aimed at the ceiling, not much to worry about. They do need some light to work, but they also are pretty good in terms of mapping and navigation accuracy. I find that they're quite good. And again, this is a mapping robot. Now, the mapping that it does is not the kind where you get to create virtual walls. That's something that the higher-end Deebot 901 has. Yeah, and if you move up into really high-end, again, the i7 series Roombas, then you have that sort of thing. So it will do a first mapping of your house when it cleans of a floor. So like all of these robots so far, they store one floor plan. So it's either going to be your upstairs or your downstairs, for example, if you have a two-story home. So the first time it might not seem like the most intelligent robot, but it will pretty much clean in straight lines, which is a hallmark of navigation robots. It's not bouncing off the walls like a dumb robot does. The second time it's going to be a lot smarter because it has stored that map. And you can look at the map in the app, which is kind of cool. Now you can't, like I said, those specify, draw any virtual lines on this map to tell it where to go and where not to go. So that's too bad, but their more expensive Deebot 901 does have that feature. The navigation has gotten so sophisticated with these things, it's particularly good on the Deebot, that it actually knows if you pause it and you pick it up and you move it, say, 2 or 3 feet over, which you might do for any number of reasons. A lot of robot vacuum cleaners used to get confused by this. And it says, I've been moved, reorienting myself. And then it picks up and it figures it out. And it actually goes back to where it was before you picked it up and keeps going. Now, obviously, if you blocked that spot, it can't go exactly back there, but that's kind of neat stuff. We're starting to see some real intelligence here. And it's a good thing that the robot number 1 has very good navigation. I was pretty impressed by the intelligence of it and pretty good battery life because it will go back to the base station to charge like almost all, even the budget robots do, but it doesn't have a charge and resume feature. So if you have an absolutely humongous floor plan, it might not make it through the entire house. That said, I was really actually pretty impressed. They say you can do about 1,100 square feet. So our house is a pretty big floor plan downstairs with a mix of hardwood floors and rugs make it work a little bit harder, shorten the run times on it. And in normal mode, we actually covered about 66 square meters, which is 710 square feet of actual space. Now your floor plan is going to be a lot bigger than that because the walls take up room, cabinets, counters, that sort of thing, all of the furniture. So that means a pretty big floor plan can be covered. Now I like to run it in max mode, and then it actually cleans about as well as the Roomba 960. I thought it was a little bit less in terms of pickup on its regular mode, but even in max mode it runs for an hour, and it was still able to cover that same fairly large floor plan. The robot is a chatty Cathy, and it speaks in English, or whichever language you pick. You can see the selection of languages that are available. You can turn this feature off if you don't want to hear the robot talking. And boy, it's pretty loud, let me tell you. But it's going to tell you about everything. If it's done cleaning and it's going back to the charging base, if you've picked it up. I don't know why these robots do that. Maybe in case you have kids that are messing with them and taking them off the charger. But it'll say, I'm off the charger. But the nice thing is, again, compared to a Roomba, is what up there, Roomba? You're like the leaders in the first doing robotic vacuum cleaners, and Roombas still say things like error 15, which sends you running to Google to figure out why couldn't it have just said brush stuck instead, or path to base station blocked. So yes, this one speaks in intelligible sentences, so you can figure out what's going wrong with it.
I'm returning to the charging dock. Recharge canceled. I am starting the clean. Cleaning task canceled.
The other things that you would expect from a robot in this price range is it does have scheduling, it does have do not disturb mode, which is always nice because God knows you don't want it going off at 2 a.m. Well, at least I don't. I know some of you like to let them clean overnight, but again, since this one does need light to clean, you probably aren't going to be running it at 2 a.m. In terms of how well it cleans, like again, all modern robots that are for sale now that you can buy, it does a very good job of transitioning from hard floors onto area rugs and back off again. It can go over the little door jams that you have between your rooms, you know, the kind of low ones. It's fine. And even those memory foam bath mats that are all the rage right now and that usually stymie all sorts of vacuum cleaners, even uprights and Dyson cordlesses and all that sort of thing, it manages to get on and off those and vacuum those pretty well. So yes, it's quite good for that sort of thing. Like all robot vacuum cleaners, it is best for hard surfaces and low pile carpets. They just don't have as much suction as something that you plug into the wall. Well, that's pretty obvious. Or even as much as something like a Dyson V8 or a V10 or a V11. But it can, for a low pile carpet, do a good job. We do a test where we use actually dry potting soil, and that's a tough one. And it does a good job of cleaning up all of the potting soil. That's a kind of tough test because you got a mixture of chunky things and light things and dusty things. It can clean up reasonably large debris. It can suck up some Cheerios, for example. That's a popular test. Now, if we do something like our plush white wool carpeting, you can see that it has a hard time, and I just wouldn't go there because it's just going to pick up some of it and grind some of that soil further into the rug. So not for thick carpets. This is true for all these robotic vacuum cleaners, though. Now, the dustbin, like I said, I like that it's clear. I like that it's a pretty good size. The filter is easy to get to. By the way, it has both a foam filter and it has this paper filter, which they say is washable, but be careful when you wash it. I don't know. I don't usually wash paper filters, but it should last 6 months or so before you have to replace it at least. Now, what I don't like about it is, yeah, at first it seems, oh, great, it's easy to open and everything up. But when you got a bin full of dirt and you want to open up and you do that, I mean, dirt goes everywhere, you know what I'm saying? Now, obviously, you do it like this. Still, dirt just has, because it's big enough, a way of going places you didn't want it to go, and I don't much appreciate that. And we have this big mesh area here that dirt kind of sticks to, but Roombas have the same problem. This is pretty easy to bang out, but the fact that it is so large means you're going to need a large trash can, and you're probably going to do that while you're doing it. By the way, it does have a bin present sensor, so it will tell you if the bin is missing in one of its many chatty Cathy moments, but it does not have bin full sensors, so it's not going to annoy you. Like Roomba has that, and in the end, most people actually turn that off because the sensors are too sensitive, and it complains that the bin is full when it's not. It stops when you're not there to clean it up right away, so I'm fine with the fact that it doesn't have a bin full sensor. Like all robots, it has cliff sensors. It's not going to drive itself off of the stairs. Like all robot vacuum cleaners, they're sometimes fooled by black carpeting. Or we have an oriental carpet that has kind of a mostly black pattern around the border. We have another one that has some diamond squares of black. And this one isn't too stymied by those. It's better than average, you know, but keeping those sensors clear is number one, the most important thing to make sure that it doesn't get easily triggered by black. But if you have a lot of black area rugs, if you're Mr. and Ms. Goff, it's going to be a problem. However, with all robot vacuum cleaners, you can get around that problem by put some white tape or tape a little cardboard over the cliff sensor. Just do not run it upstairs and let it go off the stairs because that can happen if you defeat the cliff sensors. One more thing that I like is it actually has a physical on-off button on the side. Say you're going to go on vacation for a couple of weeks. The robots will run themselves down because they're constantly waiting for you to tell them to go out and clean, so they're always checking Wi-Fi and stuff. So you can turn this completely off. Samsung pots have that as well, but not Roombas, for example. A lot of them don't. So yeah, that's just one of those little pluses that I actually really like about this. The main brush does have bristles. A lot of cleaners now are going to just rubber. This one still has bristles, which is pretty effective for agitation on carpet. I'll give you that. It does get gummed up with a lot of hair. That's just the nature of having bristles. And it has a single beater bar. It doesn't have Roomba's patented double bar, which kind of does an effective job of extracting stuff from carpets because, well, Roomba's patented that, so other companies can't do that. So what about versus the Deebot 901 if you're trying to decide? Like I said, about the Deebot 901, my favorite thing is the LiDAR, how effective it is to stop it from smacking as hard into things, if at all. It's a bit more intelligent, not as good as the higher-end Samsung Powerbots, which are like humans. They just come up very slowly and don't touch things when they shouldn't. But that part is nice with the 901. It also has a longer cleaning time, and it has those virtual walls that you can drag on the map. So that part's nice. But the drawback with that is nickel metal hydride battery. Oh well. Parts availability is an important part of robotic vacuum experience, isn't it? So Roomba really is great. They have parts for everything, and they keep them around for a long time, for even old models. So Ecovacs is the parent company that makes Deebot, and they have EcovacsParts.com, and they have a pretty good selection too. Spinning brushes, the main brushes, replacement batteries, but not for all models yet with replacement batteries. I hope that we see that. So much of what you're going to need. If you need a new bin, for example, I don't know why you would. Those things are available, so it's heartening to see that. Now, the 7-Eleven is a brand new product, so they're not listing parts for it yet, but that they will soon. When it comes to customer service, that's another thing that iRobot's very good at. Nito is pretty decent at too. Ecovacs, I tried out their chatting tech support, and it was quite good. Instantly, I got an answer. I asked several questions about the 7-Eleven, and I got accurate answers, so that was a fairly pleasant experience as well. Now, versus the Roombas, which a lot of people are probably considering, the $890 price-wise is similar, but that one is a dumb robot. It doesn't have any mapping and navigation, so I would totally pick the Deebot just because mapping is more effective, especially if you have open or larger floor plans. It just more methodically cleans. Now, if you're looking at something like the Roomba 960, which used to be considerably more expensive, but with Roomba, when the product's been out for a year or two, the prices drop a lot, and especially right now, there's Mother's Day sale, so it's around $550. So it's still $100 more, granted, but you might find it for a little bit less. But it has a couple of things that I do like. It has physical virtual walls. You get one in the box, you can buy more, so you can automatically rope it off from going into a certain room or a certain area, which is nice. It also has return to base, recharge, and resume. So if your floor plan is pretty big and you need that, again, you have to have a pretty large floor plan to need that, but it has that feature. This Deebot does not have that. The 960 has a bit more pickup, maybe because of the dual brush design, but you can get around that by putting the Deebot on max mode, and then runtimes are pretty much similar. Deebot is quieter, it's less irritating sounding. So that's the Ecovacs Deebot 711. They are definitely getting better with each new model that they come out with, and this one is really able to stand up nicely against the competing Roombas for a bit less money. I'm Lisa from Mobile Tech Review. Be sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel for more cool tech videos, and thumbs up if you like this vid.